I'm a Arctic researcher. Things here are going very wrong. Part 3. /part 1 / /part 2 / /part 3 / It was, I don't know what it was. I paused before continuing. I saw it that night when it took Jamie. Yet you decided not to tell us this important information. The fuck, John? Wyatt hunched over in discomfort before leaning back. I know I should have, but you guys wouldn't have believed me. I sat up, strength coming back to me. Wyatt sat up. He began walking to the door. Me, you and Garrett are having a chat when you're ready, he sighed before closing the door. It was probably a few hours before I decided to get up and walk outside. Surprisingly, they weren't standing outside, meaning I had to wobble around like a lost puppy to find them. Thankfully, I did find them in the third room I checked, the cafeteria. Those two had decided to make a little meeting table in the center. Signing, I wobbled towards them and sat down, looking back and forth, waiting for someone to speak. The room was so quiet that I noticed the tinnitus in my left ear from the rock. So wanna talk, John? What do you know? Garrett said, his voice all serious. It was like the air was sucked out of the room and me. I don't know anything. I just saw it that night. That's all I swear. I leaned forward, trying everything for them to believe me. Garrett nodded before continuing. You knew we weren't going to find Jamie's remains, didn't you? Oliver died trying to look for that poor bastard, and you knew, Garrett said. That man was a teddy bear no longer. I decided to look out of the window for the first time since before I was knocked out. It was dark outside. I knew that, but I had fucking hope. I wanted us to find him. I yelled, all my energy gone again. I knew that wasn't true. I knew we'd find nothing. I definitely didn't have hope. I just wanted to do it because they did. I saw the thing, they didn't. Who were they to judge me? I felt so angry, like something was telling me to be in the back of my mind. That's when I tuned them out to pay attention to this thing in the back of my head. It was a voice. It was beckoning me. It told me to hurt them, to come outside, to join it. It felt like my skull was heavy. My eyes felt weak, like they were going to pop out of my skull. I stood up. I had to leave. I had to run. I needed to hide. But I couldn't move on my own. My body felt like I was a puppet. I went towards the window. I did everything I could to not move. My body wouldn't listen. My body wasn't mine anymore. I raised my arm, and with strength I never knew I had, I punched the glass out. The cool wind and searing pain snapped me out of it. I felt the warm blood oozing down my hand. I realized what I had done. It was outside. The damn thing was outside, and it made me do that. It wanted in. What the fuck, John? Wyatt pulled me and threw me down. Wyatt, back up from the window. It's still out there. Garrett stood up to grab Wyatt. He wasn't fast enough. It played in slow motion in my mind the next few moments. The thing out in the snow was just outside the window. I could see it now in the light. It had the face of a giant bird. Its upper body is covered in fur. Its arms look starved. That thing reached out and grabbed Wyatt by the side of his chest. With the strength of multiple men, it lifted him up. Garrett tried to pull Wyatt away. The thing began to pull Wyatt towards it. Garrett started pulling Wyatt, the adrenaline causing him to be stronger than I'd seen out of him. The two pulling forces locked together, but in one swift motion. The creature won. Wyatt was twisted and ripped in a way I never thought the human body could be ripped. Garrett was now just holding onto his arm, shoulder, and head. The human meat chunks poured out of the piece. That's when I got up. I felt light on my feet. The wobble was gone but became a full sprint. It was the lightest I've ever felt. I heard Garrett squeal. Turning once, I saw it all. The thing was inside. It was over 9 feet tall. Its upper body broad and wide, its lower body skinny and starved. Its ribs protrude out of its body like they are trying to escape from within it. Its arms are far too skinny to give the strength it had. Its limbs were long, far too long even for something its size. It has its hands wrapped around Garrett's head. He was struggling like a fish out of water. It squeezed his head like a cyst. The meaty crunch will haunt me. I stopped watching and ran again to my quarters. I slammed the door shut and blocked it. I heard it knocking on the door, trying to get me to leave. Then it spoke. I heard Jamie's voice. Hell, John, are you still in here? I thought your job was done. That thing croaked out of its throat. It began knocking again, then tapping, then knocking again and talking in Jamie's voice.